Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode 604. Happy Thursday. Draft day, NBA draft. Coffee. Don't forget, as I take a sip, this Saturday, Madison Card Show, Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. Gonna backdate that for my first sip of coffee. John Nolan Drive, the place to be. This Saturday from 9 to 3. Madison Card Show, 120 tables now. I put out an all points bulletin a couple nights ago because I was one table shy. I had not sold out. That was my bad. Oopsie. I failed to put a couple of my dealers on the overall list, and I'm actually oversold, which is a good thing. I want to be oversold because it's only Thursday. Typically the day that I start, I've got something going on Saturday because people start looking at the forecast. It's like, do I want to go to the lake or do I want to sit in a hotel in cards? I'd kind of rather sit in a hotel and sell cards. So this Saturday. So yeah, I do have it is a sold out show. It's sold out and more. Sold out and more. And my wife goes, because yesterday morning I said, well, I've only got one table to fill. And she's like, well, that's good. And I'm like, yeah, for June it is. But I'm probably going to take some cancellations and I'll have empty tables if it stays status quo. She gets home from the office and I said, well, I made an error and I'm actually oversold by 5 tables. And then one of my regular dealers, somebody that he normally sets up with, couldn't make it. So he was down. He's like, hey, I've got to cancel one of my tables. Hopefully that's not a burden. I'm like, hey, actually, that's good. Now I'm only oversold by 4 tables. So I will this evening, start to make confirmations. I do have a little bit of leeway. I don't know if I could fit 4 additional tables in the spaces that I have, but I do know I could get at least a couple more. The problem is it's like putting a puzzle together because I've got single table dealers, double tables, and triple tables. So now it's like trying to fit the puzzle together, who can fit where. So this Saturday, Madison Card Show, Sheraton Hotel, John Nolan Drive, 9 to 3, free admission, 120 dealer tables. Hey, maybe 121 or 122. We'll see. Can we squeeze some more in? Jenny's with us. Good morning. Victor, what is up? There's Scott. Good morning to you. Let's see. Herman says NBA talk. Yeah, we're going to talk NBA draft today. Victor says go Bulls. Uncle Rich, John Nolan Drive leads the way. It's probably like 4-0 right now. But there will be some Bowman U talk on the basketball side. Card show in the morning and taking the kids to the Madison Zoo in the afternoon. Very cool. The Henry Vilas Zoo. I've never been. I've driven by, but I've never been to the Madison Zoo. I hear it's pretty popular because I think it's a free zoo. I know it's pretty popular. Jenny has officially taken over my tagline. Bo Thompson is fighting to restore our nation's energy independence. John, that 70s card show. What is up? Good morning. Sit in a lake. Jenny says, LOL. I say it in your good morning hobby world. Let's see. Math errors. You probably have 3 million Cubs cards. It could be. Because I do uncover boxes, hundreds and hundreds. I'll keep, when I take to card shows, I'll take a box with like basically extra supplies, markers, paper, sleeves, top loaders. But I also use that box when people say, hey, I've got a stack of Cubs cards for you. And one of my last counts I did, I was starting to get ready for the card show, a couple days later, and I go into that box and boom, there's, like 2,000, there's a couple 800 count boxes. There's a couple smaller boxes that I had picked up at the last card show I had been at that did not get in that original count. So it's like, back to the drawing board, have to do some more math. more counting. So it is all possible. 3 million, probably not, but I could be a couple thousand off. John says start taking deposits, refundable if filled. Yeah, I've actually started a few. I've done some prepayments. And I've kind of gone if people say, how do I pay? And I'll just say, here's my PayPal. That makes it easier. And it also makes it easier for me for early payments morning or prepay, because then I don't have to track down, I'm already kind of running around all day. But it kind of saves me. And then, towards all of a sudden, if it starts dying down at like 1 o'clock and, it's like, oh crap, who's leaving. And since I'm running all over the place, it's a burden for the dealers if they want to leave early. I mean, they can always text me, and that's the best way. Text me, Facebook me, whatever. Hey, I'm leaving. I want to pay. That's the best way to do it. Other than it's going to probably take you a while to, walk the show looking for me. So, but yeah, the prepayments actually, I didn't want to go that route, and it's probably not going to be like mandatory, but like for first timers, I might just start doing that. When people say, how do I pay? I'm just going to say, here's my PayPal. And then, they're marked down, and makes it easier, I think, on all of us. Let's see, where are we at here? Jenny says, John, we are in charge of the recount. Meet you in Madison. That's right. If you demand a recount, that's your volunteering. John says, put the NFTs in the back. Rich says, I only counted 3, but since Bo keeps count, let's make it 4-1, since I arrived a couple minutes late. David, what is up? Good morning to you. How are you counting to 1 million when you can't count to 120? That's the question of the day. David, what is up? Good morning. Catching live for a change. Great to have you. Mark is with us. Good morning. Zach and Porter, 30 years from now, probably. Young kid walks by B's home on garbage day. Mom, why is that guy talking to himself on his porch? The Bowman U is mine. John says, I started pulling cards for Porter this week and found dozens I hadn't logged into my collection. Now I have to go through 50,000 duplicates because of OCD. Whoops. So, hey, speaking of Zach and Porter, the White Sox are bringing up a talent. I sometimes, and what's cool, I have a couple different Twitter accounts, and what's cool is I'll get like notifications on I have a high school, a lot of stuff that a high school account. I have an account that is basically tweets about like my high school stuff, high school athletics. I don't really use it because I created it back when I was still kind of working in that realm. So it'll like pop up like high school coaching news and transfer news and stuff like that. I have a Cubs, it's like Cubs encyclopedia, where I was going to do I was working on a minor league encyclopedia for the Cubs. I put a lot of work into that. I should probably at some point do something with it. However, I get a lot of Chicago sports news, and I think it's based on who I follow. That Twitter account popped up a push notification on Len Sosa. Now, I'm familiar with that name, not because he's a big-time prospect in baseball, but because he's in 2022 Bowman, and his first Bowman card in this past year's 2022 Bowman, this past April or whenever it released. And it's like, what? So he just had a first Bowman, and he's already being promoted to MLB. So I wanted to confirm it. Now, I have ulterior motives for my interest, actually 2 ulterior motives for my interest in Lenyn Sosa being called up to the White Sox. Number 1 is I'm kind of soft on shortstops in my fantasy baseball keeper league, and jumping on a guy who's not really top prospect but could make some noise is how I landed Juan Soto in my fan. Now he's like my superstar in my fantasy team, although he's not performing like one this year. So I needed Francisco Lindor is my only shortstop on my fantasy lineup, so it's nice to have plus youth. It's a keeper league. So I for 4, I wanted before I claimed him in my fantasy roster, fantasy baseball league, because it's a very competitive league, and fortunately, I'm up earlier than most of the guys in the league. So for surprises like this, I can typically beat them out. But they're fast. We're all fast. So before I claimed him, I wanted to confirm, like, okay, I haven't had any coffee yet. Is this legit? So I Googled, and sure enough, he's skipping AAA, going straight and he's raked. He's only 22, and he's raked at AA. He's hitting like 331 as a 22-year-old, and I think he's 22, which is young for AA. So I'm excited because fantasy baseball, I did claim him. He's now on my fantasy baseball team. And he's in 2022 Bowman. So now I can go through my 2022 Bowman and pull for Lennon Sosa to make a big impact on the South Side and put some extra bucks in my in my pocket selling his Bowman cards. Let's see. Let's go to the chat. So, Zach, I'm excited. In Sox and Sosa, I will tune in. I think they play the Orioles tonight. Let's see. Herman is going to the card show in Spartanburg Saturday. Get to meet another YouTube Twitter friend, Val. That's awesome. Val Mars, NASCAR Radio. I got to meet Val and Logan at the National last year. In fact, I gave Val a gift because one of the auctions that was sponsoring the VIP room on the opening day of the National were giving out just it was like the hard cardboard envelopes with signed 8x10s, authenticated 8x10s, autographed, and they were just like their employees just had stacks of them. They were just handing them out to people. So mine was Dale Jarrett, and really the only way I was keeping said signed 8x10 was if it was a Cub. Anything else was getting sold, but hey, it's Dale Jarrett. I'll probably run into Val here at the show, and I did. So I'm like, hey, I've got something for you. So gave Val my Dale Jarrett 8x10. Zach and Porter, they are bringing him up. They need infield help. Yep, that is more desperate than achievement based. But he's raking, man. He is. I saw this is the first that I know of Lennon Sosa. But he has absolutely been raking. So there's an article about it. But yes, it is because even though he is raking, he would not have been called up if it wasn't for all of the injury issues with the White Sox infield. So one of the articles I was reading said it could be a short stay depending on how some of the other guys, come back off the DL, how they perform. And I guess how Sosa performs. I mean, if Lennon Sosa comes out and just absolutely rakes at the big league level, it's kind of hard to send him back down to likely AAA at this point. So this article is from SoxMachine.com. One of the sentences says Sosa opened the season outside of White Sox top 10 prospect lists, but if the minor league season ended today, it would be hard to keep him out of the top 3 White Sox prospects. Lennon Sosa hitting his slash line is 331, 384, 549 in 62 games at Birmingham, which is AA, age 22 season. And they say it hasn't completely come out of nowhere because he has performed really well. He was 19 in 2019 at low A. He slashed 252, 292, 371. 2021, of course, 2020 we missed because of COVID. Last summer in his age 21 season, this is pretty easy. His season matches up with the year, being born in 2000. Let's see. age 2021 season. He's 21. He's split between high A and double A, slashing 271, 300, and 401. Talking about Lennon Sosa, a young prospect for the White Sox who's getting called up today. And this year slashing 331, 384, 549, and his K percent has dropped. Last year, his strikeout percentage was 22%. This year, only 13.8%. His walk rate went from 3.4 to 7.3. So he's really improved across the board. So I'm excited, Zach. I'm excited for Lennon Sosa. Is he any relation to Sammy? I don't know. Sosa's a really common name. And actually, I will venture to say no, because Lennon Sosa is from Venezuela. Sammy's from Dominican Republic. So I highly doubt they're any relation. And Sosa is a very common surname. Let's see. Victor says White Sox bringing up young kids. Where are we at in the chat? TD Sports Card is with us. Good morning to you. I still think Bucky effing Dent is the White Sox shortstop. Sorry, Mark Hoyle. TD says he might be trade bait. Probably not trade bait, because the White Sox have a lot of injuries in the infield, so that's why they're bringing him up. Because I know Tim Anderson has battled some injuries. Who else? Danny Mendick. Danny Mendick just went on the IL. Tim Anderson, I think, is just coming back. Lurie Garcia. And Lurie Garcia, kind of like every White Sox person that I follow, just absolutely hates on Lurie Garcia. Rich says scouts will tell you that if you can handle double A, then you should be able to get to the majors. Yeah, double A is kind of like that's where that's the, if you can handle double A, just like Rich said, you're major league ready. Triple A, you look at triple A rosters, and it's basically kind of like the fringe big leaguers, where it's a lot of journeymen. It's guys that they may have handled double A really well, but they didn't handle the big leagues, so they're going to go down to triple A and work some things out. It's almost like a practice squad triple A, where double A is, you don't see too many top prospects in AAA. And if they do get to AAA, they don't last long, because they typically jump from AA to the bigs. Let's see. Mark says he should have stayed with the White Sox, talking about Bucky Dent. Bucky effing Dent. Rich Klein, not always, but a good lesson for real Bowman, not Bowman you. Rich says we Yankees fans are thankful for that one at bat. Bucky effing Dent. Take a drink whenever we say Bucky effing Dent. That's why I list everything. My Sosa's all sold the past couple days. O'Neal Cruz sold out this week. O'Neal Cruz, yeah, he had a great re-debut. I didn't realize O'Neal Cruz only played in one game last year, because, and I did know he got called up, which I didn't know at the time. I kind of, especially when the Cubs are not in contention, September, October are just kind of like, I might as well get ready for football season. But I had some first Bowman Chrome refractor O'Neal Cruz that I had pulled out of a 25 or 50 cent box, and I sold them for like $40. And I think David actually mentioned, like, oh yeah, he made his debut last night, and I think it might have been the last game of the season. And then he gets a rookie card. He's got a rookie in Topps and Bowman, and he'd only played one game, but he's back with the Pittsburgh Pirates. O'Neal Cruz. John says I brought that homer up when explaining geometry to my colleague at Fenway last week. Herman says the card fans breaker got bullied into giving the Wander mascot card to the rightful owner. That is right. I don't think I mentioned that. I did a whole video on that bad breaker. He should have done it from the get-go. I will say that the guy's name who had Wander Franco in that break, his name is Matt. He's on Twitter, he's on Facebook, and he made some noise, but he was very respectful. In fact, he even mentioned when when card fans said, yes, we'll send you the card, he was like, I can't remember the verbiage he used, but everybody's like, he wasn't, he should have given that to you from the get-go, and not when he was shamed on social media for doing that. But card fans did eventually send the Wander mascot card. The guy did receive it, by the way. So not only did they agree to send it to him, they did send it to him, and it has been received. It's in Matt's possession, who had the Wander Franco player in that player break from Top Series 2, where the Raymond mascot Wander Franco variation was pulled in that break. So that ends happy ending for Matt. Probably not for the breaker, because now he's been given the scarlet letter in the hobby. And even though he eventually did the right thing, it's like he wouldn't have if there was such a firestorm. So I'll never, and I do, even though I have my favorite breakers, sometimes they fill. Sometimes they don't have the product I want, and it's just like, Elite Extra Edition comes out and I want to see, and I just go to eBay, and that breaker's on eBay. But now I know I'm not gonna break with them, and I'm sure there's many, many others with that same attitude. So they ruined their reputation over probably, what's that card worth? 1,000 at the most, maybe more. I guess, I don't know, maybe less. But that's a pretty pitiful dollar amount to ruin a reputation over. Not that any amount should ruin a reputation, but Rich Klein says, how badly hurt is Tim Anderson? I think he's just coming off, and has Zach answered that? Let's see if Zach answers that. Let's see. I don't think so. So I'm not sure how injured he is. Where are we at? Let's see. Where are we at? So Zach and Porter says Anderson is playing again, but his backup got hurt. Moncada is out too. They have little depth. Sox machine. Yes, I listened to Nelson and Margulis pod this morning. So Tim Anderson's just coming off the IL, I believe. Where are we at? So heading to a Futures League game tonight. Big Papi, Manny Ramirez, Keith Folk, Pedro Martinez all have sons on the team. Holy cow. That is pretty cool. Let's see. Sold my O'Neal Cruz auto last night. Very nice. Let's see. Jenny says, good idea. Sell while they are hot. Low Roller Scratcher says, do you ever consider selling bench warmers? It is model female trading cards. People will buy it from your store. No, I have not gone down that path. News hadn't broken yet. Yes, Bo, I'm up at 4, so you are maybe my 5th or 6th vlog of the day. I am not jealous because I don't want to wake up at 3:30 or 4 to be your first. Service time will come into play with this lad, Kaiser Soze. Let me be the first to say this. Fire Tony. Zach and Porter say all those NBA draft fans thrown off by this pale hose talk, or at 70s likes to say the Milwaukee White Sox. Let's see. Or if they're familiar with the show, they know that I typically don't get to the topic at hand until about the 30-minute mark. I actually did when I started talking about, I can't remember what it was the other day. And I'm like, because I get annoyed when I see something that I want the person, like say I want to learn about the NBA draft tonight, and I see this I'm like, oh, I want to and then this guy's talking about the White Sox and coffee and Bowman for a half an hour. I'd get kind of ticked off. So I need to start time stamping, like, okay, the actual topic starts at 31 minutes. Let's see. Jenny was thinking the same. John, at this point, unless he has a Willie McCovey 1959 season, the service time issue will not be an issue. This is safely after the cutoff. John says, never would have played in shorts had they stayed in Milwaukee. Johnny Boy Cards in the house. Good morning. He got called up at the very end of the season. So I ripped my 3 Prism Blasters last night, sold 4 cards for $21 so far before fees. So I think if you were on the first wave, you could sell the singles, but I won't be buying any more. So DR ripping those Prism Football Blasters. Here's my take on Prism Football, and I've talked about it before. Um, I'm not high on Prism football. It's just it's a really soft, and I know that sounds funny to say because people are like, it's hard to buy them online and people are lining up in stores. But the secondary market, the sales are a little soft, and they're only going to get softer because there's not that hype. Because we already know the rookie class has already played their rookie season, so there's not that preseason hype around some of these players. So I am very cold on Prism football. Now, if I run to Walmart today, which it's Thursday, I'm going to run to the Sheraton. Where's Sheraton? It's on John Nolan Drive. When I run to Walmart today, because there's a Walmart, as Herman knows, I took Herman to the Walmart next to the Sheraton. It's the next exit after John Nolan Drive. It's on Broadway. On Broadway, the Walmart there. So I'll hit up the Walmart on Broadway and then get off on John Nolan Drive and hit the Sheraton and make sure the tables are set up, put the name tag out. Anyway, getting back to the point, if I run into that Walmart and there's Prism on the shelf, unlikely because there's probably people just waiting for the vendor. If I get there and there's some Prism on the shelf, I'll probably buy 2 blasters. I'll probably buy 2, maybe 3. And here's why I say maybe 3. Because I want to rip one and I want to save one for football season. So 2 or 3, because maybe I want to save 2 for football season. But I'm soft on Prism, and I'm going to stick to I'm going to stand by my statement that in September, Bowman U football is going to be selling those blasters. Maybe in September, will be selling for more than Prism football blasters. I think because I think, and it's going to be close. And here's why: Prism has a head start. Prism blasters are retail at $30. Bowman U blasters retail for $20. Even with that said, I think Bowman U blasters will sell. I think they'll be selling for 35 to 40 at some point in September when somebody pops off, or a couple guys pop off for big Heisman runs. So I think they'll probably peak $35, $40, but I think Prism settles at $30. I think they settle at retail prices on eBay. I think you'll be able to get Prism football blasters in the next couple months for $30 to $35 on eBay, and I think Bowman U blasters will be in that $35 range. So I'm gonna stand by that, and maybe I'll pin that because I tweeted that out. Maybe I'll pin that tweet. Let's see. Zach and Porter says super excited. Scored a Reggie White 86 rookie tops for $2 in a stack sale last. That's 86. Love that set. Favorite set, NFL Hall of Famer rookie for that is a steal at $2. Fits the budget perfectly. Love that purchase. Reggie White, just an awesome person. We lost him way too soon in 86 tops. Beautiful set. I've got a Jerry Rice rookie that was in that collection that I bought at one of the last Rockford card shows. I've got to put it on eBay. Here's why I haven't put it on eBay yet. It's in a screw down. It's probably been in that screw down for 30 years, so I'm a little hesitant. But I've got to break into that screw down holder. I've got to find a Phillips head and pop that and save that Jerry Rice rookie card. Rich is a big fan of that purchase. TD agrees. Victor, the rookie card specialist, is with us. Good morning, all. Great looking thumbnail for this one. Thank you very much. Let's see. John says, what number is Reggie wearing? He was 93 for one preseason or year. Ricardo is with us. What is up? Let's see. By the way, if you're just joining me, I have not started talking about the NBA draft yet, so I apologize if you've listened to me for 29 minutes and 20 seconds ramble on about card shows, White Sox, coffee, and Prism football. Let's see. Where are we at? Let's see. David says Cruz a StatCast machine, the hardest throw, highest exit velocity, and 2 fastest runs recorded this year in his season debut over the weekend. I did hear about the hardest throw and the exit velocity. That's fascinating. Let's see. Jenny says it won't hurt their reputation at all. Look at the Backyard Breakers. They're still filling breaks and got their name out. People just forget about it over a couple weeks. Sad but reality. Unfortunately, I do agree with you. And John adds to it, no such thing as a scarlet letter in the hobby. If anything, it drives in more traffic. Yeah, you guys are both right. And that's exactly what happened to the Backyard Breakers. The whole Trevor Lawrence debacle gave them even more viewership, and it did not hurt their business whatsoever. In fact, it probably helped. And then they pulled the triple logo, man. So they're doing quite well. Let's see. Ricardo says, didn't he just come back from rehab? Rich says, okay, then Sosa will be back up for a short time. Speaking of break, Series 2 retail is due out in a week. Watching Target for release for the draft. Let's see. Rich gets up at that hour talking about 4 a.m. to go back, but goes back to sleep. Low Roller says, I saw you sell Derek Fisher. I did. I sold a Derek Fisher card in my store. John says, I think Low Roller is Ken Golden's burner account. I still have to rip my blaster purchases. If you saw Hobby Hotline on Tuesday, I have a. Well, yes, I did. I'm intrigued by what you picked up, Rich. You should add AEW cards in your store. I've got AEW cards in my store, and they've just really they were super hot at the start, and they've been cold. I've got still a big stack of AEW like that, and they're just not moving. That's going to be a weekend project for Rich. Jenny says Prism 2020 is selling like hotcakes in my shop this week. People thinking football and Prism right now. I've added over 800 cards this week to my eBay store. Put about 200 football in yesterday. So I've started to make that transition into heavily loading up football. Since can you believe training camp starts in like 3 weeks? Unbelievable. Summer goes by. June just flies by. And then we're in July. It's all of a sudden it's 4th of July, and the days are already getting shorter. I can't fathom that. And it happens every year. I know it happens every year. But the summer solstice is in our rearview mirror. Now the days are getting shorter. John says, I'll be sequestered, absorbing Hobby Palooza content this weekend. Not sure how to explain it to my wife. Hobby Palooza, I was actually trying to figure out a way to put Hobby Palooza on like a screen at the Madison Card Show this Saturday. But there's not like a screen in the main room. I'd have to put it on a table. I'd have to get I used to have an old TV, but I ended up recycling it, that I could, put the laptop to the TV. But I thought that would have been, kind of neat. But I just don't think I'm going to be able to make it work. I don't have the space really to do something like that. Jenny says, speaking of football, the niece and nephew now love the Buccaneers. We think it's because it's a fun word for them to say. That team isn't cheap. Not with Tom Brady still there. Jenny asks, what is Hobby Palooza? I keep hearing about it. Rich says, see you in September. See you when the summer's through. Then Bowman U will be sellable. John, I'll have my office door open and break those blasters. Some of the football that I put in my eBay store, I did put a stack of the Bowman U football paper from one of the blasters that I ripped. I think I've ripped 4, maybe 5 of the Bowman U blasters. I have 41 sealed. So I'm just going to sit on them until football season, because it's going to be I think there's going to be more of a premium on the singles in August, September, October than June for football. Let's see. I hate how the chat skips. Where are we at? Let's see. Jenny says Prism will peak when some random guy has a killer game that no one thought of last year and his rookies in 2021. Absolutely. I'm going to check my target today for the Bowman U. There's still, at least on Monday, my local target, the one closest to my house, had 3 Lonely Blasters. Since it's kind of top of mind today with card show, with me running to the card hotel to get ready for the card show, I might just pick up those 3 blasters. John says Reggie will always be an Eagles first. Talking about Reggie White. Rich adds, yeah, but he won the Super Bowl with the Packers. I'm gonna side with John here because I don't like the Packers. Let's see. Rich says that was for any Pirates player on the exit velocity. The throw was a major league high for an infielder. Jerry says, what's up, Jerry? Will Bowman U have a basketball release? Jerry, yes! Bowman U has basketball. Now, I will say, let me get through the chat, and I'm gonna revisit that because I pulled this off my shelf just to share my thoughts on Bowman U basketball. Can't wait for throw velocity league leaders cards. My God, all baseball blasters with one exception. 2021 Prism Gypsy Queen Heritage Series 2, very cool. 608 sports cards. Got a box of cards from a coworker. Found 2 Jeter rookies and a Don Mattingly auto. Very nice. And Rich adds 2021 WWE Heritage. Oh, even better. 2021 Fire, 2013 Bowman, Big League Hobby Box Archives. That's what I picked up. That's a good haul. That would be a lot of fun. Rip Goose, by the way. Yes. I'll get into that, and then we'll do some NBA draft talk. I saw your store have pick your card. Did it do well? Are you planning add more pick your cards? Not really, because it basically, the pick your card variation listings, it takes me just as long to do those, and maybe even a little longer than it takes me to list them as singles. Plus, I think the search it highlights single listings better than variation listings. And I've talked about that before, and I know Jenny had mentioned that she doesn't like the variation listings because sometimes you pull the drop down, and this is annoying. You see a variation listing, and it's like, oh, I want the Cubs, and it's like Cubs are sold out, and it's like I just wasted all that time. And again, it's more of a time saver for me. I can list, and I know this sounds a little surprising, but with File Exchange, I can list them faster as singles than I can in a variation listing. So I do not plan on adding any other variation listings. Rich says, while Bowman U has caught up to John Nolan Drive. Jerry says that is awesome. Can't wait to get Bowman U basketball. Morning to Paul Carl cards. So before I get back to Bowman U, yes, I do want to say rest in peace, Tony Saragusa. We lost an NFL legend. Tony Saragusa passed away. I think he was only 55, way too young. So that's sad news. We lost Caleb Swanigan, who was only 25. He was a star at Purdue, was drafted by the Portland Trailblazers, played in the NBA briefly. He passed away a couple days ago, 25. And then in WWE, the wrestling world lost 2 legendary referees, Dave Hebner and Tim White. Both passed away, I think, last week. Tim White was also Andre the Giant's handler. He drove Andre everywhere. They were, really good friends. So just a terrible, terrible week with losing those guys. And Jenny mentions, Marion Barber passed away a week or 2 ago. He was only 38. So been a rough summer. Victor says, opened my eBay store last night. Went with the basic. Exciting times. Awesome. That is great news. If you ever need any help, let me know. Always willing to give some advice. Paul Carl Card says, if you look at variation listings in Terapeak, you're lucky if you see more than 1 or 2 that break $100 per year in sales. I'm all about the singles, faster to list and better customer experience. Completely agree, 100%. That's interesting on the Terapeak insight. Did not realize that, but I completely agree. Let's see. So let's talk Bowman U basketball. Tonight is the NBA draft. Hey, we're 39 minutes in. We're finally getting to the topic of the day. The NBA draft. Jerry asked about Bowman U basketball. Yes, it is out. I picked these blasters up, I believe, last week. First time I saw Bowman U basketball in the store, I bought 3 blasters. I ripped one, and I've got 2. I may rip. I think I've got 2 unopened. I just bought 3 of them because I'm not as big a fan of the basketball product as I am what's behind me, the football product. The reason I say that is basketball's really soft. The market on basketball cards is really soft. More so the contents. The basketball checklist is pretty weak. The football checklist is really strong. So with the basketball checklist, and we'll talk about NBA draft, basically the top 4 in mock drafts, it's kind of like a lock. Jabari Smith from Auburn, Chet Holmgren from Gonzaga, Paolo Banchero from Duke, and Jaden Ivey of Purdue. They're like the top 4 in almost every mock draft. Only one of those 4 players are in this product. And there's not many. It's the college basketball right now with it's not, there's no Zions, there's no Jaws, there's no, big name stars. So it's kind of a weak product, especially with star power. So that's why I'm not as high on that product. But I'll probably open a blaster as I watch the NBA draft tonight. Also, Overtime Elite, which I love this product. I'm not super high on this because again, basketball's kind of a soft market. There's not much star power. This is Overtime Elite. It's basically an extension of high school. It's kind of transition between high school and the NBA without going to college. There's 2 players that are likely going to be drafted out of this product this year. However, this is a kind of a long-term hold because there are some potential superstars in future draft classes, 2023 and 2024 in particular. Gene Montero, probably the biggest name right now. I think these other guys just don't have that name power because they're still a couple years from being draft eligible. But Gene Montero, several months ago, was projected to be a lottery pick at the end of the lottery. And then and then he slipped, and now he's second round. So Gene Montero, probably somewhere in the middle of the second round. And Dominic Barlow has a card in here. And in a lot of mock drafts, he's like projected to be, if there was a Mr. Irrelevant in the NBA draft, there's only 60 picks, 58 this year, because a couple teams lost their picks. He's been mocked to be the last pick in the second round. So Dominic Barlow and Gene Montero, potential draft picks tonight in the second round. They're in Overtime Elite. Bowman U does have several first and second round potentials. Chet Holmgren being the biggest name, but it does lack the other 3 of the top 4 picks that are mocked. Let's see. Low Roller asks, are you selling Bowman U basketball in your store? I have a couple singles, I believe. Rich has got to go. Take it easy. Enjoy your day. DR says, has anyone noticed a disconnect on their eBay view stats on the mobile app? I have not. I mean, there's been a lot of funky stuff going on with the views because they've changed it. I'll have some listings. I'll look in my app. I'll have some listings that have 3 watchers and 0 views. So it's kind of weird. But I think the reason behind that is the views are now only within the last 30 days. So I think maybe these people watched the item 35 days ago, 40 days ago, and they haven't clicked back into the link to actually view it within the last 30 days, and neither has anybody else. So I think that's why you'll get listings that have a watcher or 2 watchers with 0 views, because those people watched it and they viewed it 2 months ago or whenever it was. Jerry says that is interesting with the checklist. Good to know because the football checklist was great. Talking about Bowman U, yes, it was. I love the football checklist. The basketball checklist, not so much. David said, has a modern Gonzaga player ever lived up to the hype once drafted? That's a great question. I don't know. Probably not. Does it have software pick your card to make your job easier? I don't know that. I'm not sure about that. NBA draft is tonight. I've been a draft fan. I think the NBA draft is actually what led me to love all sports drafts. And actually, I shouldn't say all because it's only 3 of the major sports: football, basketball, baseball. Love those drafts. Hockey, I just don't care about. In other sports, I just don't follow, and especially at the lower levels. But when it comes to football, basketball, baseball, it's all kind of different. Like, I follow college basketball far more closely than the NBA. The reason I'm interested is because I feel like I've invested, in their college careers. And so I want to see where they go and how they stack up with the other players, because you can be an All-American college basketball player, but just be a role player in the NBA. You can be a role player college basketball player and be a superstar in the NBA because it's a completely different game. Football, kind of the same, although I follow NFL and college about the same. I'll probably watch the NFL more from a game standpoint, but I look at the stats. College football, I watch the stats. NFL, I don't care about the stats outside of my fantasy football team. But I'll watch the games. In college football, I don't watch the game. I'll just look at the stats. And then baseball, I love minor league and major league baseball, but I don't follow college baseball whatsoever. I'll look at mock drafts and just see. I probably love the baseball draft more than any other draft. And I don't even follow amateur baseball, which is it's kind of, that's the way my brain works, I guess. John says Chet Holmgren, I believe John means Chet Holmgren, is a long shot to make it, in my opinion. NBA is a grind, and he doesn't have the body to take it. He's like a beanpole. I agree with that. He's really got to put some muscle on if he wants to have a long career in the NBA. DR says, my gut tells me basketball on the whole will never have as many long-term collectors over baseball and football. I would agree with that. And I think part of the reason is speculation drives the hobby as a whole. And there's just not, you look at the NBA draft, and here's the thing. The NBA draft, a second round pick, if you're a second round pick, you're basically a fringe pro player. A second round pick in football and baseball, you could be a Hall of Famer. I mean, shoot, we've had Mike Piazza. What was he, 67th round? So it's, there's so much more, and we're speculative driven with our cards for the most part. So I think that's why the basketball market, it's like, if you're not first, you're last, for the most part. David says, yeah, if I was GM in the lottery, no way I'd ever touch someone out of Gonzaga at this point. David adds Sabonis with Sacramento now. Played 2 years at Gonzaga, but he is an outlier because his father was such a great player. Talking about Domantas Sabonis. And yeah, he's had a nice career. I forgot he was from Gonzaga. John Stockton had a great career. And he's from Gonzaga. So the NBA draft, I love mock drafts. So I brought up CBS Sports. ESPN just put one out this morning, but it was behind a paywall. So CBS Sports, in most mock drafts, have Jabari Smith going first overall. The Orlando Magic have the first pick. He's a power forward from Auburn. Ironically for me, the Orlando Magic had the first pick when I fell in love with the NBA draft, 1993, Chris Webber, and then he was swapped to Golden State for the number 3 pick, Anthony Penny Hardaway. John says, I'll take $1 million per year to be called fringe. Yeah, well, second round is not guaranteed money. So you've got to get into the first round for the guaranteed money, and then you can be fringe. But second round, no guaranteed money. And a lot of second round players don't even make the team out of to start the season. So Jabari Smith out of Auburn, he's the projected number 1 overall pick. But it's kind of a 3-man race between Jabari Smith, the aforementioned Chet Holmgren, the 7-footer. Check this out. Chet Holmgren is 7 feet tall. He's only 195 pounds. I'm like 5'10", and of course I'm not like I wouldn't even make my beer league softball team. That's how athletic I am. I'm 5'10", 5'11", depending on the shoes I'm wearing, and probably 215, 210. Chet Holmgren, 7 feet, 195 pounds. That's a freaking beanpole. He's got to put some weight on. And hey, if I know how to put weight on, so if he needs any advice, I can help him put some weight on. I don't know if it's good weight. I don't think it's NBA weight. TD says another Bradley, right? Sean Bradley, the old BYU Cougar. I've got Oregon's heavier than Cher Holmgren. Chet, he kind of built like Cher, right? So CBS Sports, the unique frame for a top 3 pick being less than 200 pounds at 7 feet tall. That's unique for any human being, I think. So CBS projects him to go number 2 to Oklahoma City. Number 3, they've got Paolo Banchero. He's a 6'10" power forward. I didn't realize Banchero was that tall. They're projecting the Duke Blue Devil to go number 3 to the Houston Rockets. Although they rank him number 1 overall as a prospect, they've got Chet Holmgren ranked as the number 2 prospect and Jabari Smith is the number 3 prospect, but backwards. And then Jaden Ivey, he's a shooting guard out of Purdue. I've seen him in most mocks going number 4 overall to the Sacramento Kings. Then it's kind of a free-for-all. Picks 5 through the rest of the draft, kind of all over the board. Some of the prospects, Benedict Mathurin, maybe butchering his name. He's a sophomore from Arizona. Dyson Daniels, a shooting guard, played for the G League, which is very similar to the Overtime Elite program. Shaden Sharp, he's a shooting guard out of Kentucky. Jeremy Sochan out of Baylor, 6'9" forward. Keegan Murray, which I love this guy. He's an Iowa Hawkeye. I grew up a big Iowa Hawkeye fan. He's a 6'8" sophomore forward, but he really plays like a guard. I got to see him face off one-on-one in person against the Badgers and Johnny Davis, who CBS has going 2 picks later, number 11 to the Knicks. Johnny's a 6'6" sophomore, small forward, another guy that he can run the point. He's more of a tall guard, probably matches in. I would think in the NBA he'd be a guard over a small forward, although small forward, because his shooting is kind of lacking. They prospect him out as didn't have a good 3-point percentage last season, but was solid on catch and shoot threes, showing that he can play off the ball as well. So he probably does line up with that small forward position. Jalen Duren out of Memphis, he's a center. Agbaji from Kansas. Malachi Branham from Ohio State. 7'2" center Mark Williams out of Duke. Ty Washington out of Kentucky. So those are some of the names that you'll see in the top 20 picks or so out of tonight's draft. EJ Liddell, I like him. He's out of Ohio State. Saw him play in high school. I think he went to East St. Louis. I can't remember. Or I think it was East St. Louis. Let's see. Where are we at here in the chat? So that's pretty much my NBA draft preview. I just basically follow the mock drafts. I'm into the NBA draft. And it's I may just write down just for giggles, just for shoots and giggles, my mock draft who I think will go. And basically, there's no science behind my mock drafts. It's basically looking at other mock drafts, reading the description, and saying, okay, I think this team's going to take this guy. So, so it's not based on any talent evaluation or anything like that. It's just who are other people writing about, and I'll go with this one. John says, curious what those 5 average draft position was. Name the top 5 NBA players right now. Ooh, this is fun. This is fun. Top 5 NBA players. Okay, well, I'm just gonna spitball. And I'm not a, and I don't watch the NBA, so I don't follow the NBA game at all compared to college basketball. So, I'm just going to throw out some names: LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. Those are, LeBron James went straight from high school. Steph Curry was drafted number 7 overall. Let's see. Kevin Durant. Name some other players. Who is following the NBA? Who can name some players that would be considered top 5? So LeBron not drafted because he was straight from high school. Steph Curry was number 7 overall. Kevin Durant was number 2 overall. Oh, wait, LeBron James was drafted. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. LeBron James was number 1 overall, 2003. Why did I think he went straight from high school? Because he did go straight from high school. Oh my God, I need another cup of coffee. Let's see. John says KD not top 5. Is the entire draft tonight? Yes. It's just 2 rounds. Giannis. And Giannis was a first-round pick, but he was 16? He was 15 overall. So Giannis was 15 overall. Everybody's Luka. Where was Luka? I think Luka was kind of mid first round as well. Oh, shoot. I do not know my NBA. Luka was number 3 overall. Let's see. Nikola Jokic. So most of them were, top 10 picks. The Joker was in the 2nd round. He was number 41 overall. Joker, Steph, Giannis, Durant, and Luka. So we've got Jokic was number 41 overall. Steph was number 7 overall. Giannis was number 15 overall. Durant was number 2 overall. And Luka was number 3 overall. So there's, most drafted players. And then you got LeBron number 1 overall. But let's look at NBA draft number 1 picks historically. Well, let's just do the last 20 years. We'll go the year before LeBron. So 2002 was Yao Ming, LeBron James. These are number 1 overall picks in the NBA draft. Dwight Howard. 2005, Milwaukee Bucks, Andrew Bogut. 2006, Andrea Bargnani. Greg Oden, number 1 overall in 2007. Derrick Rose, number 1 overall in 2008. He was injury plagued, but he did have an MVP season. 2009, Blake Griffin. 2010, John Wall. 2011, Kyrie Irving. 2012, Anthony Davis. 2013, Cleveland wishes they had this one back, Anthony Bennett. They even got to do a redo in 2014. The Cavaliers took Andrew Wiggins. 2015 was Karl Anthony Towns. 2016 was Ben Simmons. And the 76ers did it again in 2017. They took Markelle Fultz. DeAndre Ayton went number 1 overall in 2018. 19 was Zion Williamson. 20 was Anthony Edwards. And last year's number 1 overall pick to the Pistons, Cade Cunningham. And it's like, if you look historically at the number 1 overall pick, let's just go modern. I'm going to go 70s for John. We'll start at 1970. You've got let's go to 1969 because that was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, then known as his real name Lou Alcindor. But then you have guys like LaRue Martin in 1972, Bill Walton, 1974, big name. But then in 1977, it's Kent Benson. 79, Magic Johnson, followed by Joe Barry Carroll. You've got a nice run in the 80s with Akeem Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing back to back, followed by Brad Doherty. But then it rebounds to David Robinson in 1987, Purvis Ellison in 89. Ugh. But then 92, 93, you've got Shaq and Chris Webber. 95 is Joe Smith. But then you've got Allen Iverson and Tim Duncan, followed by Michael Olowokandi, the Candyman. So the NBA draft, look at those number one overall picks. I mean, you've got Greg Oden, Michael Olowokandi, but then you've also got superstar Hall of Famers. John says, Bo, it's 2022, not 2012. LeBron had his day. Hey, I'm a big LeBron. I love LeBron James. Cooter says the only reason I know any NBA names is because YouTube rolls to some Pelican Heads video on flipping if I am not paying attention. TD says Cade is legit. John says ABA was functioning so hard comparison. ABA was functioning so hard comparison. Low roller, why Michael Jordan wasn't the number one pick. TD says really it was the number one, even at the time, Jordan was kind of, but the Houston Rockets going big man. And Hakeem Olajuwon is so you can't blame them whatsoever. It's the number two. Why take Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan? But if you needed a big man, Sam Bowie was there. But yeah, in hindsight, whoops. TD Sports Cards says Joe Smith played a long time, but he didn't live up to the hype of a number one overall pick. Mark says maybe 10 Hall of Famers. Jordan wasn't the second pick either. Hakeem was the best prospect. Yep, definitely agree. Hakeem was the number one over. And even in hindsight, you can't argue with that. Look at number two, pick twos in draft history. Jordan couldn't even make his high school team. But he did pretty well in college and in high school. Laney High School, North Carolina. So let's look at Joe Smith, 1995. Had a long career, but when you look at number one, who could let's look at the 95 NBA draft. Joe Smith Joe Smith out of Maryland, he was the top prospect. There was a lot. I mean, in hindsight, that draft was, had quite a few, a lot of really good NBA players in it. Jerry Stackhouse, Rasheed Wallace. Probably the best player in that draft was the number 5 overall pick, Kevin Garnett. Who else was Damon Stoudemire had a good NBA career. I wonder what the redraft, looking at stats, what the redraft would look like in 2000 or in 1995. Fred Hoiberg was a second rounder. A couple college coaches in there. Fred Hoiberg and Quanzo Martin. Notable undrafted players out of 1995. Not very notable. Let's see. So 95 was actually a pretty good draft. NBA draft is tonight. Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, Paolo Banchero. Those are your projected top 3 picks. Jaden Ivey probably going number 4. Yao Ming had knee issues. Oden was a straight out bust. Absolutely. Herman, that's kind of a tall tale. Talking about Jordan. That is the Maryland Joe Smith. Let's see. Any good basketball players from Madison, Wisconsin? Yeah, there's actually several. Not like superstar level. I'm trying to think of I think Wes Matthews might have been from Madison. We've had a significant amount of NBA talent, but no Hall. I don't think any Hall of Famers or any superstars have come out of Madison. Low Roller wants us to look at the number 2 overall picks. By the player, not the draft position. Let's look at, I think we'll have to go to Basketball Reference. Baseball Reference, Basketball Reference, I absolutely love it. I could spend all day looking at baseball draft notes, which the baseball draft is coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to have some fun on draft day for the MLB draft. Let's find the draft. There we go. Draft picks by years. Draft finder. Basketball Reference set up a little different than Baseball Reference. If you have zero interest in finding out who the number 2 overall picks are, that's just what I'm going to do, and I'm going to wrap things up. So if you're going to pop off, thanks for tuning in. My Basketball Reference draft tracker is still loading. Let's see. Wikipedia is great for draft musings, my go-to. That's actually, John, that's where I was looking at the number 1 overall picks. But I don't know if there's going to be a Wikipedia draft number 2 picks. The reference pages for basketball and baseball is, however, the loading of those websites, because there's just so much data, is super slow. So I'm actually going to stop that because it's still loading. And I did find a website, Basketball Insiders, has a list of number 2 overall picks. I don't know how far back. It goes back historically. So let's just go, and I know the ABA was competing with the NBA, but let's just take a look at some of the 1970s number 2 overall picks. You've got Rudy Tomjanovich, Sidney Wicks, Bob McAdoo, Jim Brewer, Marvin Barnes, David Myers, Scott May, Otis Birdsong, Phil Ford, and David Greenwood. Those are your number 2 overall picks of the 1970s. 1980s, you've got Darrell Griffith, Isaiah Thomas, there you go, Hall of Famer, Terry Cummings, Steve Stepanovich, Sam Bowie, Wayman Tisdale, Len Bias, sad story with him, Armin Gilliam, Rick Smits, and Danny Ferry. Those are your number 2 overall picks of the 80s. Let's go to the 90s. Gary Payton, the Glove, Kenny Anderson out of Georgia Tech, Zoe, Alonzo Mourning. Our second Sean Bradley reference of the morning. Sean Bradley, number 2 overall in my favorite draft, 1993. 94 was Jason Kidd, Antonio McDyess, Marcus Camby, my favorite college basketball player of the mid-90s out of UMass, Keith Van Horn, Mike Bibby, and Steve Francis. Those are the number 2 overall picks of the 90s. The 2000, the aughts, Stromile Swift out of LSU, Tyson Chandler, Jay Williams out of Duke, sad story with his motorcycle accident. Darko Milicic in 2003, Emeka Okafor, Marvin Williams, LaMarcus Aldridge, Kevin Durant, there's KD, Michael Beasley in 2008, and Hashim Tabit in 2009. And the most recent decade, we've got Evan Turner, Derek Williams, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Victor Oladipo, Jabari Parker, D'Angelo Russell, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Marvin Bagley, and Ja Morant. So those are the number 2 overall picks of the NBA draft. Let's see. John says Wikipedia lets you see all picks by year. Then you can advance through the years. Terry Cummings from DePaul. Yes, sir. First round Major League Baseball are not guaranteed. Will be superstars compared to the NBA draft. Dr. Duncanstein, Darrell Griffith. I just mailed to Madison, Georgia. That Louisville team was fun to watch. What was that Phi Slamma Jamma? So that's my NBA draft talk for the morning. NBA draft is tonight. I'm looking forward to it just because I'm a sucker for drafts in general, whether it be basketball, football, or baseball. And like I said, I have some fun musings that I'll share about the baseball draft coming up in a couple weeks in regards to the Chicago Cubs, because I have some inside info from 1980s Major League Baseball drafts, scouting reports, and just some random tidbits on drafts from the 80s that I'll share. So I'm looking forward to that. I love the baseball draft, which is coming up during the All-Star break. They pushed it back. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. On the docket for today, I probably will make a retail run just because I'll be out and about running to the Sheraton later today. So looking forward to that. Again, the Madison Card Show is this Saturday, 120 tables. We are sold out. 120 tables. Show runs from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Free admission this Saturday, Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great Thursday, and we'll chat again tomorrow.